Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night. Whatever time you're joining, again, want to welcome you to this another Bible study. We've been enjoying thus far Genesis, the flood, and we're going to continue with Genesis chapter 9. So take your Bible as we discuss Genesis chapter 9 and enjoy. It says, "And God blessed Noah and his son, and said unto them, Be fruitful and multiply and replenish the earth." Of course, that makes sense, and it's not the first time that God had given that commandment. Here we are, Noah and his son, 8 people out of the entire world was saved. Those who actually accepted and went into the ark. God had intended that, whoever believed, of course, would be saved. Only 8 people respond. And so God now tells them, be fruitful and multiply and replenish the earth. This was the same command he gave to Adam and Eve in the Garden of Eden. Be fruitful and multiply. This essentially is the single unit of family. This is a necessity of what it takes for any society to function, the ability to procreate, replenish the earth. It says, and the fear of you and the dread of you shall be upon every beast of the earth, and upon every fowl of the air, and upon all that moveth upon the earth, and upon all the fishes of the sea. Into your hand are they delivered. God again gave dominion of the animals to man. Now we understand that, of course, the land animal as well as the animals of the air, the birds, were in the ark. They were under the guidance and the care of Noah and his family. The interesting thing here is that God also says that even the animals of the sea, the fish, they were also given to man to have dominion over, to be the caretaker. There was nothing that we had to fear. We were in charge. The animals, it said, were fearful of us. When I say fearful, not necessarily fearful to be running for us for their lives, but just that they would not harm us. It says, every moving thing that liveth shall be meat for you, even as the green herb have I given you all things. Now that's also another interesting text or command. Again, it made sense, and we've dealt with this in previous studies. Because of the flood, a lot of the food supply, the trees were destroyed. There would have been a shortage, and God made plans for that in that he allowed animals to go into the ark, that he would now give the command that for you it shall be for meat. Now, you have to be careful though. When it says that every moving thing that liveth shall be for meat for you, even as the green herb have I given you all things. If you remember, there was a separation between the animals, the clean and the unclean. And that was something that was understood. It wasn't taken for granted because, as mentioned, if you were to eat an animal that was unclean, if you had 2 pigs, for instance, and you ate one, then of course the whole pig as a species would then be annihilated. It would be extinct. And so that's why God chose some animals that he took in by pairs of 7, and for you, those animals were considered clean and could be used for meat as well as for sacrifice. But that was when our diet changed, as far as now meat kind was accepted as part of our diet. And all of that, you can say, also is a consequence of sin. Because when you consider it, having to eat means having to kill if you're dealing with meat. And death was never something that was intended in God's creation as far as before sin. That's why the initial diet was anything that had a seed bearing seed, any tree that had a seed in it you could eat. When the seed dies, it doesn't really die. It basically transforms into another plant. And so nothing died to sustain life. But after sin and after the flood, meat was now introduced into the diet. It says, but the flesh in verse 4, but the flesh with the life thereof, which is the blood thereof, shall ye not eat. There is also something specific about the meat and how it is to be prepared that was necessary. It says that the blood should not be a part of our diet. It says, but the flesh with the life thereof, which is the blood thereof, shall ye not eat. So even in allowing us to eat, the method of preparing the meat should be what they consider kosher. You shouldn't be eating things that are raw. You shouldn't be eating things that are rare. You shouldn't have blood products be put inside of you. As a matter of fact, these are some of the things that we have done why certain diseases come upon us as a human race. The blood is what fights off infection. You have white cells, and these gets heightened when you take certain things or you ingest certain things. It's processed in the liver and other parts of the organs, and then it's carried by the blood. The blood is not the most healthy of substance that should be taken, and the Bible warns us against that. It says, and surely in verse 5, your blood of your lives will I require at the hand of every beast, will I require it. And at the hand of man, at the hand of every man's brother, will I require the life of man. Here it transitions into talking about man. It says, whoso sheddeth man's blood, by man shall his blood be shed. For in the image of God made he man. It says, if you shed another man's blood, if you kill someone, by man shall your blood also be shed. Why? Because we were made in the image of God. That's the reason why God destroyed the antediluvian world. Because there was wickedness, and included in wickedness, one of the highest form of wickedness is the killing of another human being. It didn't delineate a color. It didn't delineate whether the person was of this culture or not this culture. It just said that we were made in God's image. And if we kill another man, then our blood will be required. It says in verse 7, and you, be ye fruitful and multiply, bring forth abundantly in the earth and multiply therein. And God spake unto Noah and to his sons with him, saying, and I, behold, I establish my covenant with you and with your seed after you, and with every living creature that is with you, of the fowl, of the cattle, and of every beast on the earth with you, from all that go out of the ark to every beast of the earth. God now tells Noah that he's establishing a covenant with them. You see, while we all originated from Adam and Eve as our foreparents, one could actually say that we all again originated from Noah and his family. Noah had 3 sons, and each of them had a wife. And so from those 8, the earth was to be replenished. Verse 11 says, and I will establish my covenant with you. Neither shall all flesh be cut off any more by the waters of a flood. Neither shall there any more be a flood to destroy the earth. And God said, this is a token of the covenant which I make between me and you and every living creature that is with you for perpetual generation. God said, I would never destroy the entire earth again with waters. And I'm making a covenant. I'm giving you something that you will have evidence that this will not happen. I will not destroy all the cattle. It will not occur again. And so God made a covenant with Noah. And this is the covenant. Verse 13. It says, I do set my bow in the cloud. And it shall be for a token of a covenant between me and the earth. And it shall come to pass when I bring a cloud over the earth, that the bow shall be seen in the cloud. And I will remember my covenant, which is between me and you and every living creature, and you and all flesh. And the waters shall no more become a flood to destroy all flesh. And the bow shall be in the cloud, and I will look upon it, that I may remember the everlasting covenant between God and every living creature of all flesh that is upon the earth. And he reiterates it. He says it, and he says it again. And God said unto Noah, this is the token of the covenant, which I have established between me and all flesh that is upon the earth. Verse 18, and the sons of Noah that went forth of the ark were Shem and Ham and Japheth. And Ham is the father of Canaan. And it continues with a little story after that. But one of the things I want to draw your attention to, before the flood, there was no rain. The earth was watered by a mist. The people laughed when Noah said that he was building an ark. What was the purpose of an ark? Then the flood came, and of course, the entire world was destroyed. Only those that were in the ark, except for the fish, all the other animals that were on the outside, including the birds, they were destroyed. Then the floods abate. Noah came out and he offered a sacrifice. God called and he said, listen, I'm going to make another covenant. All the animals, of course, will show honor and respect unto you. They shall not, they shall fear you. But I'm going to give you a token, something that you will remember, that as long as this earth lasts, the actions that was taken regarding destroying the earth with flood, it shall never occur again. And this is a sign: I shall put the rainbow in the sky. And as we continue, you'll realize that only a few generations later did man forget that God had made a covenant telling mankind that he will not destroy the earth with flood. And as we continue, you will grasp the understanding of what I just said. The other interesting thing as I close is that the devil has no scruples. He has no respect of God. He has no respect of anything. Here it is. God put a sign to show his covenant, the rainbow, the colors that occurs after the rainfall. You see it in the clouds, beautiful and majestic. And the devil took those colors, the rainbow. And now when you think of the rainbow, just consider where your mind goes. Rather than it bringing you back to the fact that because of sin, God had to destroy the earth. The same rainbow that God used as a covenant, the devil now used as a sign. What sign is it used for? You study and you can tell. So something that was created godly is now being utilized as a signal or a sign for something ungodly. Thank you for joining me. God bless you and keep studying.